Welcome to the Daily Whatever Show. I am Lawrence Winterman.
I'm Dana Dubois. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Oh my
How's it?
goodness, look at all the people rolling in. That is exciting. Thank you for being here, everybody.
Yay
We
for
are
Monday mornings.
happy Monday morning.
Cheers to all of my whatevers.
Ooh, I don't have mine. I've got my big mug of coffee this morning
Mhm.
because Monday.
Because Monday. This is a big Monday for me, Lawrence.
Is it?
It is.
Is it?
Among many other things, today is Kira's birthday, my
Oh my
doggy.
goodness. Happy birthday, Kira.
She's
Happy birthday,
I don't know,
Kira. Happy, happy,
can you see her
happy.
here?
Burp, burp.
She doesn't want me to pick her up. Do I come on? She's like,
Well,
"No, it's podcast time. I want my treat."
she's no fool, that one.
I was looking into ordering her a birthday cake last night, like a little there's, like, bakeries that make dog cakes with peanut butter and bacon and stuff, but it was, like, $50 for a dog cake.
I mean, come on, peanut butter and bacon for sure. Also, I want a peanut butter and bacon cake. Are you
For your
kidding?
next birthday. I know,
Very keto.
it was made with, like, garbanzo. Okay, I won't make you get on my lap. There you go. Happy birthday, little doggy.
She like takes and runs away. Thanks,
Yes,
mom.
that's what she
Bye.
does. Yeah, she's like, "I have to go back to my spot on the sofa that used to be right next to where I podcasted, but I've moved." So, to
Oh,
be fair, that's happened. Yeah,
what else?
but I'm starting a new role at my
Mm.
job.
So, staying at the company that you're at, but you are starting a new role within said company.
I am, and
That's exciting.
it is exciting and it's weirdly nerve-wracking this go around. So, hopefully it will be fine or maybe even better than fine, but,
I feel like there's
yeah.
an Indigo Girls song coming on there.
I went to see the doctor of philosophy. I'm not seeing any doctors of philosophy at my new job. I no, I got a new dress with this very, professional neckline.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's not so boobage, not so
Um,
poop forward.
it's day one. I don't wanna, like, totally stress everybody out by, like, "Whoa, tits du bois on the new gal."
Right.
When nobody needs that. Well, maybe some people need that, but that seems like a bad idea. And yeah, I'm, like, nervous about all the things. We have this wonderful podcast we're doing and writing and, like, how to do all of that and also do all of the other things is weighing a little heavily on me today. I'm feeling a little subdued. Oh,
Yeah.
there's the chat. So I'm gonna come in. You know what will help me is if I come in and say, "Hello, all." Um,
I mean, there's the old adage, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person. Uh,
yeah.
Also, sort of the revised 21st century version of the adage, which is if you really want to get shit done, ask a mom.
Right?
Because
Right.
the best project managers I've ever worked with in my entire life, far, better than me for sure, are moms. Like every A+ rock star PM that I know is like a super mom on roller skates, like managing her kids, school and activities and, you know, cooking dinner and also managing giant projects with multi-billion-dollar implications. Like it's
Mhm.
just the truth.
Moms on did you say on roller skates with, like,
Yeah, yeah. So I
pink
used to work with
elephants
this
on
woman, Carrie, who
skateboards chasing them down?
right. So I
Yeah,
used to work
big
with this woman,
hills.
Carrie, who is one of the superstar PMs I'm talking about. And we we joked that like she needed a pair of roller skates and like a stadium buddy and a backpack with all of her stuff, like a camelback, so that she had water but filled with coffee instead of water, and she could just literally like roller skate from meeting to meeting. Never had to take a bathroom break thanks to the stadium buddy, just corralling people left and right and getting everything done.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, no, it's honestly true.
Yeah, that whole "how do we make work work" thing, maybe the answer is roller skates.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the answer is roller skates.
I do have a pair of roller skates. I have the Rydell 2 stripes that I got when I was 12,
Oh my
still
God.
in
Do they
my
still
base.
fit?
They're, like, well enough that I could wear them. They're like racing skates from the '80s with the original orange Zinger wheels, like, they're really cool. I don't wanna brag, but I still have them, and I have worn them at the Linwood Skate and Bowl, though it's been a minute.
I do think, yeah, I think you should break those out. I'm gonna guess they're probably better wheels now. I mean, keep the vintage wheels intact, but replaced with modern wheels that have, I don't know, like silicone coated ball bearings or something.
Shock absorbers. You
Yeah,
think I should roll them out on the first day of work, though? Should I just show up and be like, "Hey, guys, it's a roller disco"?
yeah, honestly, yes. I think for our big event that we're doing on the 21st, you should wear them and you should roller skate around your dining room as during our marathon.
I will. I absolutely will. In fact, fun fact, so to give context to what Lawrence is talking about there, I think some of you know, and maybe some don't. We're in the midst of our summer pledge drive because even though it's starting to feel like fall, it is indeed still summer until the 21st night of September, like the disciples, Earth, Wind, and Fire told us.
Yeah,
And so we are hoping to hit 100 paid subscribers by the 21st. We are at 90,
94.
94. 94. I keep messing up between 93 and 94. That's why I'm looking at Lawrence. 94. We only need 6 more paid subscribers. Um, Annual subscriptions are 75% off right now. They are only $20 for the year, and that's for the life of the subscription. So we're hoping to get 6 more. But whether we do or not, either way, we are ending the pledge drive with a 4-hour daily whatever marathon on Sunday, September 21st. And apparently, I will now be doing a roller disco in my living room, which I can do.
Yeah,
I did it once before. I don't think you were at this particular birthday party, Lawrence. I think it was like 8 or 9 years ago. But Sandra, my birthday twin who lives in Berlin, one of my very best friends, we're 4 days apart. She was in Seattle, so we hosted a party here that was called Sing for Your Supper.
I did not go to that one.
A and the idea was everyone had to do a talent. We made this vat of chili, this big chili dinner, and if you wanted dinner, you had to perform whatever you wanted to do. You could read a poem, you could sing a song, you could do a backbend, like, anything at all. And I put on my roller skates and I sang Melanie's Brand New Key. Do you know that song?
I
I
don't.
you do, you do. Hold on, it's real warbly. I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
So we could get together. It's all about sex, Lawrence. Because that was back when roller skates, you had to put a key in them and turn them.
Right, right.
Like,
Oh, it's all
you
about
got roller
sex. It's like
skates. You've
every
got a
other
brand new.
song that's ever been written.
Yeah. So I might not go too fast, but I go pretty far. It's such a good song. I mean,
Mm,
like Melanie died a couple years ago, and Stuart Mason wrote this brilliant obit for her on Three Imaginary Girls on Medium. Still his most popular article. Like Melanie had a really cool life. She had all kinds of stuff going on behind the scenes, but I think that was her only big hit. And it is very fun to do the I got a brand new pair of roller skates on skates.
all right.
So
That is something.
hey, I will
I
put
don't
it.
know what it is, but it is something.
Yes, I you're the one who taunted me to put on my skates. I will do it, but I'll probably sing that song while I
All
go.
right. Well, excellent.
Uh-huh.
Um, so what are we talking about before we talk to our guest today, who, by the way, is Shane Yirak from the Firebrand Project, who will be joining us in mere moments. Um, what else? What else do we need to talk about?
You know what I
I'm
want to
putting the
talk
link
about?
to the pledge drive in the chat again, just because if anyone's feeling generous and hasn't become a yearly supporter yet, please sign up. $20.
20 bucks plus kind of quiet little like secret links within that link. You can subscribe to Lawrence or to me individually to support us as writers for just $1 a year. $1 a year.
$22.
We wanted to merge it and just have it be one membership, but Substack doesn't have that possibility. So we just
Yeah.
made it $1. So if you're feeling, the pinch that we're all feeling right now economically and you still want to show a little support, toss $1 in. And that's for the life of the loan. The loan? Jesus, what am
The
I doing?
loan.
I don't even
Have
know.
we suddenly become a financial institution? I don't know
Apparently
how to tell
so.
you this. I don't have any money to loan out, so I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I got college to pay for you for my kids, you guys. I'm not loaning
Right.
anybody money, but $1 a year for a subscription. That's how that works. But here's something I want to do a
Marnie
shout
said
out
she
to.
loves the shirt. Thank you, Marnie. Obama 2028. I figure if they think they're going to run Trump again for a third term, then, then we're running Obama, Barack or Michelle.
Either. At
Or
this point,
Sasha or
is
Malia if
Malia
they're
old enough yet?
35.
I don't think she's 35 yet, but I'd vote for her sight unseen. Whatever, good genes.
Yeah,
Get
good
her in
gene.
there.
Yeah.
Good influences. Here's something that I want
All
to
right.
shout out from the
Yeah.
weekend.
Shout it out while I'm inviting Shane. Shane, brace
Okay.
yourself. You're getting an invite soon.
So, um, I posted on Saturday morning a short video I'd made Friday about me looking for like some feisty feminist firebrands to tie it back to our guests. Those amazing femme writers out there, no matter what topic they're writing on. I just want to write. I want to
What's
follow
up,
more women.
Shane?
How's it going? Good to see
Welcome,
both of you.
welcome.
Hi. And I will end on that of like, if you know of any, please send them my way.
Right.
And I will.
Feisty firebrand women. Talk to Dana. She's starting the network for feisty women.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love
Maybe
that.
it's more
I
that
love
like
that.
I want my feed full of them. And sometimes the people Substack I feel like it's getting a little, I like the people, I love the people that it's suggesting to me because it's curating it down. But I feel like my list is getting like really narrow.
Mm,
So I would like to be proactive in finding women who are kind of setting their podcasts or their pages on fire with their words.
Yeah.
love that.
Bring them on. And
Shane,
I got a
I'll
lot of
ask you to introduce yourself
correspondences.
in a moment, but I comment that so our friend Frederick Pogue taught me this. He has started restacking pretty much everything that he likes. And
Mm,
I've started doing that too. And it does break the algorithm open and you start getting a lot, a lot more diverse points of view. So yeah, so fun exercise, everybody. Go restack. Like if you like it, restack it and it starts actually training the algorithm to give you more stuff.
Okay.
But on that note, Shane Yirak of the Firebrand Project, welcome to the Daily Whatever. Tell the people who you are.
yeah. Dana Lawrence, so excited to be here. Been looking forward to this for a couple weeks.
Yes.
Um, but my name is Shane. I started the Firebrand Project back in February, and the Firebrand Project is, it's really all about changing the narratives, and it's about being really straightforward, really honest, and kind of using that philosophical fire that's inside each and every one of us to kind of go at everything that's going on with a different lens. A firebrand, and it's a project, right? It's not just about me. Being a firebrand, it means that you're someone who sees a system, identifies the problems within it, and speaks out against it. And that's really what the Firebrand Project is about. It's about creating a collective of people who want to ask questions and go about it a different way. So whether you're a Gen XYer or you're from a Banner and Backbone community or one of Lawrence's people, you're all firebrands as far as I'm concerned. You don't need to be part of the Firebrand Project to be a firebrand. And that's what I do. So, I'm a writer, definitely have a very critical writer of the way things are these days, but I think we all should be critical these days, and I think that's important. And I just give it my best look. I'll always be honest, and that's what I love to do. I love to write and call out the bullshit because there's a lot of it, and asking the right questions is the best way to do it.
Nice. Yeah, so we're excited to have you here. Thanks for being here, Shane. I
So,
I know that one of the things that we really wanted to focus on that is a big focus of yours is the way we frame the conversation, right? And the fact that
mhm.
for too long now, we've kind of let the media narrative be the way the Republicans want to frame things, and we haven't really pushed back. So I want to get into that. And I mean, I'm sure you kind of know about the Overton window, and I figure we're going to talk about that. And do you know what the Overton window is?
I'm not familiar with the term
Okay,
actually,
Oh,
so
you're gonna love
there's a
but
this.
professor, I
okay.
actually think at Indiana University, um, like sociology, political science professor, who His name is Overton, which is why it's called the Overton window.
Okay.
But the whole idea, this is going to sound familiar to you. The whole idea is that, if you imagine the broad political spectrum of ideas, right? There's some on either end that are completely socially unacceptable, like things that you don't
Right.
talk about. And in the middle, there's this window of conversation of like what's propriety, like what's correct.
Mm,
And
okay.
so what Overton proposed is that what's been happening in this country for the last 40 years is the right has people in its ecosystem who propose these wackadoodle ideas, right? Like super unacceptable right-wing things. But what that does is it starts shifting the conversation over to the right, because then someone will pop up and they'll say, you know, oh, well, that maybe not that, but this, here's a compromise idea, but the compromise is to the right. And if you keep doing that, you
Mm,
basically get where we are now, which is that our conversation in this country is basically a right wing conversation. And if you're center, the conversation moved away from you, and suddenly you're like left wing fringy.
yeah.
So I,
Yeah.
I, I'm sure you're familiar with that concept.
The concept itself,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think you laid it out really well, very clearly. And anyone in the chat really can maybe now identify the trend that they've probably been seeing, but not,
Right.
had a name for. So the Overton window, I think that's a great way to do that. Well, and in the spirit of that, I wanted to lead off with a quote that I thought was very powerful and also kind of will help frame our conversation on framing. And it's by a guy who is a linguist, Benjamin Lee Whorf. And it's very simple, but it's very true. And it's language is the primary instrument through which we shape our understanding of reality. So when we're looking at that climate, when we're looking at the window, we often minimize the power that our actual words, the words we're choosing to use, um, how much of a role that plays in what other people are going to think. And in a time where, there's a lot of criticism about legacy media, and there's a couple case studies I thought that would be good kind of for real world examples. But if we use the instrument that is language, because right now we're in a situation where there's a lot of people who are upset for different reasons. And the window is shifted to the right. So the dialogue is like we're all in that window on the right, and we either hate it there and we're railing against it, and we're using language that has been framed to basically make it seem like that window is the worst window ever, and it sucks. And objectively speaking, it sucks. It's a terrible window. You look out it stinks, it's raining, there's your dog's pooping on your lawn, and you just never want to be there. But then there's people, who are looking through that window, and for whatever reason, I would say that a lot of them maybe look out that window and we see the dog pooping, but they've been told that that's an angel from heaven because it's been framed that way.
Right.
Because language is the instrument through which we view reality, right? So if you're being fed the right stuff, that dog very well could be the manifestation of what you've been waiting for.
Right.
Like,
It's fertilizing your lawn free of charge.
exactly, like how some people think a 79-year-old, retired circus clown is the second coming of Christ. I mean, like, don't,
Right.
so,
We don't know how, but they do.
but exactly, exactly. So, you know, that's where I think we have an opportunity, though, especially as firebrands, as each and every one of us, because every single one of us has the instrument to reshape reality. And that's why, I think framing is such an essential topic for us to talk about today. And I'm excited to kind of get into it with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you think of, like, maybe let's pick a particular topic that is
Yeah.
important to you at this moment, right? Like, give us an example of how you sort of see the space being defined and
Mm.
what we can do differently to kind of readdress the conversation in better language.
Sure. Okay. This is a big one for me. So I do a lot of writing, reading, all kinds of things. And recently, what I wrote about, my most recent article took me a while. And if you guys have in the chat haven't had a chance to read it, it was called the Iron Web: How Power and Greed and is strangling democracy around the world. Right. So, and then we're seeing this shift of democracy going away globally. So, but my thing is, there's always a reason, right? So, but if we minimize this, I always find that I think I think that we live in a system where capitalism is a very slippery slope, and I think that our everyday language is used to make the system that really only benefits a certain group of people
Hmm.
seem like a wildly accessible idea. And I have a couple really easy examples. So I'm a young guy. I get a lot of my news on YouTube, and you guys are on YouTube. Everyone's on YouTube. But what's interesting is that everyone has their own YouTube ad feed. Okay. It's all different for each and every one of us. Okay. So what I get all the time, because I, on occasion, will go on Google and, I am a geopolitics guy. So sometimes I'll say, oh, I know that weapon manufacturer is getting sold to by Sweden. So I'm going to go buy up some of their stock. So, I'll make a couple bucks here and there. So now I get hit with all of these ads that go, are you looking to make a couple easy money? You can just invest just like this and you'll be rich in, 5 seconds, stock market, whatever. It's all these dudes and they're telling you can make all this money. Well, that's the thing is it's really not that simple. No one can just go short sell and be a millionaire.
Right.
But we live in this country where we actually talk about an economy like you can do that. Like you can just get rich. Um, and the reason I say this is the way we talk about saving in this country specifically is like, oh, I can't afford to live. Well, you should save more money. Okay. Well, I am saving money and I still can't afford to live.
Right.
Well, you should live within your means. Right? So that's always the next one. You're not saving. Okay, well then you have to live within your means. Well, how about instead of, saying, well, that's just not really you would say, well, that's not
Right.
really possible.
I pay my rent, I pay my car, there's nothing left over.
And yet at the same time, like the conversation always seems to loop back when you talk about your financial struggle to how you're not doing something right. So there appears to be, maybe to use your reference of a window has been put on the way we talk about money in this country.
Right.
And if you talk about financial hardship, your only recourse as someone else is to feed them the line through the window.
Right. And the lines
Whereas
that are fed through the window are basically making the person feel guilty. Like the responsibility is yours. There's some moral failing on your part. It is never about, well, the corporation isn't paying you enough, right? So, okay, I
exactly,
get where you're going for sure.
yeah, yeah. And so now that you have this dialogue, right? But it's one way. If I have trouble with money, well, what I like to do, because I think what's really true, like you said, is it's that you're underpaid. If I want to have the same buying power as my American counterpart in 1970, I should be making $66 an hour minimum wage.
Right.
I make 24. I live in California. I have like some of the highest paid minimum wage. Now I don't make minimum wage in California, but we have like the highest paid minimum wage um
Are you
in the
higher in
country.
Seattle? I feel
In the
like
country.
I thought we were the
Is Seattle
highest.
higher? It might be.
I think we're at 20. We're right around, or yeah, maybe you guys are probably slightly higher. You
Hey,
guys are usually
West
slightly on
Coast,
the
West
20th.
Coast. We got the right ideals over here on
Right.
the West
There are
Coast.
West Coast cities and jurisdictions that are definitely
Yes,
pushing minimum wage higher.
yes,
Yes.
and so you know you're looking at a situation where I make all this money. So objectively speaking, even if I am making a lot of money, like I see Shannon, $10 an hour, right? So like, it- and that's not even talking about, state versus state, right? Like we're just talking about objectively, like if we're just going with inflation and all of these things, like, so again, they've got us in this window. Well, you're not saving. Shannon, there's absolutely nothing you can do at $10 an hour. There's nothing you can cut or get out of your budget to fix that. So when someone tells you you're not saving, you feel like you and make you feel like that's your failure. Well, it's not. And so that's where it comes into like us as people. Well, we can shift that through how we frame it. We can move the window and be like, well, I don't have enough money. Like, well, have you been saving? I can't save because the company we work for doesn't pay us enough money. And actually, I have to put money into a certain fund for my retirement. And that retirement, well, it's actually a fund that they pick and it's in a volatile market. And I don't actually, get any say over how they use that money. And,
Oh, really? You don't get to pick where it goes? You just have to pick the company plan?
correct.
Well, isn't that it? Lawrence, let's think back to the messaging way back when. Wasn't the whole point of it like you can choose to invest your future?
Right. No, that when it got sold to people, when the big push to remove pensions happened, it was like, oh, the Keogh plan, right? This guy Keogh used to be the CEO of Coca-Cola. His big innovation was workers should be allowed to invest in their own retirement in the way that they want to. And that's where we got 401ks from, right? Like the big push to get rid of pensions and shift everybody into the market. And you'll notice, I'm sorry, Shane, I know you have a direction, but like this is all built
No,
on
it's
each
okay.
other. The push that's happening now is, oh, your Medicare funds or your Medicaid funds, those should be your social security funds. You should have the option of choosing to invest those in the market as well. They keep trying to push capital into the markets because our markets are artificially inflated. And the only thing that matters these days is increasing shareholder value. There's nothing else other than the increase of capital in the markets.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's funny because one of the company I work for, they have a value wheel. I'm not going to say what it is, but you go in there, everyone is supposed to smile. They've got a name on their apron, and there's a big value wheel on that apron. Okay, and I always joke, there's only one value wheel, one value on this wheel of all these 8 values that matters, and it's creating shareholder value.
Right.
Okay, so that's my joke is that because you say what all people are valuable. I don't believe that because my coworker just reported harassment and the whole freaking management swept it under the rug. So clearly you don't care about all people, right? And clearly you care about, keeping the creepy full-time employee you don't want to replace over the part-time woman who has a problem with the harassment, right? So, that's the world, that we live in, but they put a value wheel on there to say that to change the framing. And I like you said, they moved everyone out of pensions, right? Like I'm young, I'm 25. I want a freaking pension. I don't want a 401k.
Right.
I don't want a
Same.
401k.
Girl, same. I'm 55 and I want the same.
Like that's like, whoa, a pension? Is that a dinosaur? No, no, it's a freaking great concept.
Right.
You get taken care of later, right? It's very simple. But they framed it. They framed it into you investing into your own future. They framed moving our capital, our liquid money, into the market. So
Right.
it's been framed as success. The extraction of wealth from us, the middle class, has been framed as success. So
Right.
if you want to be successful in America, what do? You invest. Okay, so what do I get out of investing? Well, your money sits there and it gets value. Well, can I use it? Well, no, not unless you sell it. So
Right.
is it
And then
really
there's a huge penalty if you sell that. If you,
Right.
so
I,
go ahead, please.
sorry, just related note. I just went and like did a little search on the DOL Gov website and found consolidated minimum wage table. And by my count, it looks like 14 or 15 states have a minimum wage equal to the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour.
Which,
It
by the
also
way,
looks
it's
like,
been for like 26 years now. I remember when it went up to $7.25 an hour, and it was decades ago.
yeah, I was talking about this with who was I talking about this with over the weekend? I can't remember now, but like my first job, this is in the 80s. I remember making, was it $3.45 an hour, I think,
Yeah, something
when we
crazy.
were in high school as a cashier at an ice cream place, Swenson's Ice Cream. So it's basically doubled, slightly more than doubled in decades.
Right.
At
In
the
your working
time,
lifetime.
annual tuition at the University of Florida, where I went to school, was $2,500 for the year.
Yeah.
It's got to be at least 4 or 5 times that now, based on tuitions out here. Also, according to this table, Shane, Washington is slightly beating California. It has the California minimum wage is $16.50, and Washington is $16.66. Which is the sign of the devil minimum wage, apparently, 1666. But it depends on where you live in the state, right? Like, I think Seattle minimum wage is higher than that. And I would imagine the cities in California are
Yeah.
higher.
I'm in San Diego too, so we're,
Oh, lovely.
we're generally on the forefront of, we're also the, um, to plug my lovely city at the moment, just
Yeah.
a great example of, what's, some of the large scale effects. San Diego, we're one of the, I think we are the most expensive city to live in the United States. Like, or we've been on the
Good.
list. We've been in the top 5 forever. Like, we go in and out.
More than New York City.
It's stupid expensive. But we also recently just got the medal of highest unemployment rate in the United States.
Aren't you so lucky?
We're so lucky. And so I think it's interesting that we're so expensive, and now we're also suddenly right up there with the unemployment. But I'm getting sidetracked. I do that.
I think I feel like we could easily get sidetracked on this topic because there's so many, like I wanted to point out, you talked about those ads that you get of the guys who are like,
Yes, please
follow my
go.
method. And
Yeah, yeah.
well, those guys are getting rich, not, I mean, maybe they got rich through what they're trying to sell you, but they're getting rich through selling you a digital product, which is their program, right?
Mhm.
It's probably hard for people to follow, and there's not a lot of success rate on it. And, and it all just kind of goes back to the point that you were making that the only measure of success in this country is financial success. And it is basically that everyone believes that they are destined to be a millionaire or a billionaire at this point.
Yeah. And but that's that honestly, I think we can like we can honestly like save ourselves a lot of work too, and like maybe try this is like for the sake of what we're doing, like let's just simplify it as like what the frame is. And I think we should use what you said, Lawrence, is that everyone in America is successful and they can be a millionaire or billionaire. That's the line. Through whatever means you would like to pick, because there is an abundance of means. Everyone gets to be a millionaire or billionaire in America if you play by the rules. That's really, I think, fundamentally the line that culturally underlines everything we do. Is if you do it right, if you do the American thing, if you do your tango, and you hit every step, you get to be $1 billion in America, worth $1 billion in America.
Right.
It's just that simple. It's not that complicated. Like, that's how you make it rich. Well, what's crazy is like there's less than 1,000 billionaires in this whole country, and like
So
so
many billionaires, though.
right, but
Can we just pause and say, like, there
Right.
didn't used to be billionaires?
yeah,
Right.
I'm here from the past, Shane, to tell you.
no,
Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
when was the first billionaire born?
I'm pretty sure there were billionaires when we were growing up, but there
the
were like maybe
Rockefellers
five.
have been like with adjusted inflation. So it's like if you adjust for inflation, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers,
Sure.
they've been billionaires forever. And then of course there's all those Qatari princes, but also like a lot of it comes with the fact that if like random factoid here, the global debt bubble is like 325% of the global GDP.
Right.
So it's like our economy has become so inflated. Like on everywhere, not just here in America or France or England. I mean, everywhere. It's beyond. It's like a balloon, and that's never ever. I don't know how big they're gonna blow it up before it just pops, and it'll be wild when it does. But so it's like, yeah, we like even when I was like 12 or 13, I'm like, I want to be a millionaire, right? And like just to go to talk about how young we are when we're getting, the
Indoctrinated.
world framed for us,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh yeah. And now I'm in high school. I'm like, crap, dude, you can have $1 billion. I didn't even know that was possible. And now we're talking about trillionaires, and like we'll see one in the next 10 years.
Right.
Hopefully not, actually. Let's say hopefully not. Hopefully we can stop that, because through the power of framing and changing the outlook. Yeah, it's possible. But our frame kind of is everyone can strike it rich in America if you do it right.
And
So,
here's the thing, if you live in a city and you have a net worth of $1 million, like, you're not wealthy anymore.
mhm,
It's like the
Right.
whole
If
like
you live in Seattle
million
or
dollar
LA,
Mike
yeah.
Meyer thing is like cute. Okay. It's it's
yeah,
it's can I read a few? There's some really great comments coming in.
yeah,
I'm kind of
please.
keeping an eye to the chat today. Robin Wilding, watching the Daily Whatever makes me so happy to be Canadian. Our minimum wage here is $17, and that's not even enough. And we have a federal pension plan and plenty of old age plans, like for health, dental, and prescriptions. Oh, Robin. Robin, Robin, Robin. We're all jealous. And yes, I understand that. Biff Biff has it's one of the critiques of American individualism. The guise of self reliance sidesteps our leadership responsibility for social welfare. Like, plus one, plus
Hmm.
one, 1,000%. Um, I am, yeah. My husband's parents in their mid 70s are still working.
Right. Which
Um,
I'm worried is going to be me working as a bagger at a grocery store.
yeah.
I've got one that I want to share. So, my friend Gray Galaxy, who is on Substack, posted something the other day that is the perfect encapsulation of what we're talking about. So she said, I just want to say when I was 15, a pack of hot dogs was a buck 59.
Oh,
Today I paid 12.99. I'm 41, and that's a 717% increase. In
Hmm.
26 years, the price of hot dogs has increased by 717%. The federal minimum wage has not been raised from 7.25 for 16 years. So in 2009, 1 hour of minimum wage labor bought me 4.5 packs of hot dogs. In 2025, it buys me barely half a pack. That's a collapse of 87% of my hot dog purchasing power. Like, that's such a great frame for it, right? We're talking about framing, like, the power of buying hot dogs is,
Yeah,
is something everyone can relate to, whether or not you like hot dogs and buy them. Um, but, you know, yeah, years ago, you could, work for an hour and buy a couple packs of hot dogs if you need
right.
to. Today, you can't. You work an hour and you can't even afford half a pack of hot dogs.
And that's like fine, like that's that right there, like Great Galaxy, we see Firebrand. Why? Because you that's how it's done though, right? Like that's how we shift the whole thing. Honestly, I think it's a great example of how we use framing. Because we've talked about, okay, we have the frame that's been given for, but how do we reframe? I find the best way to reframe is I like numbers. Okay, that's just me. Where I like numbers because I think you can take hot dogs, for example, and suddenly, everyone can be successful in America if you do it right. Actually, hot dogs are up 700% since I was a kid. It's a fucking hot dog. Why
Right.
does Elon Musk have $300 billion and I half of my hourly wage goes to buying 6 hot dogs?
Right.
I don't see how I could possibly be a billionaire if I have to work for 2 hours to afford a dozen hot dogs.
Yeah.
Work for an hour to afford a dozen hot dogs. I still have to pay rent, and I'm trying to have a barbecue. Suddenly, barbecues are no longer economic.
Right.
I guess I can't be fiscally responsible and throw a
mhm.
backyard barbecue.
Nope. I was just reading a story as I was walking my dog right before this about how it was something like Gen Zs are still having fun despite data to the opposite of um, that 10%. Let me see, what did it say? Gen Zs are drinking 10% less than generations before them have at their age, like the sort of decline of the party, late nightlife
Right. Have you
industry
seen the
that's
tariff
happening
prices
with
on
Gen Z.
booze?
That's what I was just thinking of, like, and how they're throwing. It was like, I forget. It was a really small percent of like 4%. Only 4% were like going to a party in the past. Had gone to a party in the past month. I may be misquoting it a little bit, but hearing you talk, I'm like, how can you entertain when, like, I love hosting house gatherings and I used to do it a lot, but now it is like, oh, well, if I do this, this is going to be like hundreds of dollars to properly have like a pile of kids or my friends over.
Hot
Um,
dog index.
the hot dog index.
Lawrence, there you go.
I'll tell Gray. Honestly, the hot dog index
I
that's a pretty fucking smart
that's
idea.
pretty that's pretty good.
I
That's
also
pretty
think that
good.
those were some high-end hot dogs. I haven't seen hot dogs that expensive yet, so I want to make sure we're
You know what?
Right, right. Yeah, I mean,
We
twelve
could
ninety
always
nine for a pack
adjust
of
the
hot dogs.
freighting.
Those are probably like the
Yeah.
organic
it's
beef,
huge.
the
Yeah.
grass fed beef, but still,
300% increase in hot dogs is still too much,
right,
you know? So we
Yeah.
can always adjust. Maybe you have to have an organic category on the hot dog index just so,
right.
we can cover all the bases.
I will say she's in California. Well, I shouldn't really out where she is, but like in a big city in California, where I've previously lived, and I'm pretty sure it's not crazy that a pack of hot dogs could be 12.99. Like the grocery price inflation in big California cities is surpasses even Seattle, I think. Like it is crazy expensive for groceries out there right now.
We and I was just thinking of, like, remember back all the way back to the election. Do you remember that last year? There was our final free
Hmm.
election.
I'm trying to remember a fantasy time where we weren't living in Trump's world.
Yeah. It was all about eggs, which
Hmm?
we were all squawking about at the beginning. And this is here's an interesting thing about framing, because I am super into comms and messaging, and like
Hmm.
words and ideas can make a difference. I posted that earlier in the chat, the quote from Robin Williams and the Dead
Yes.
Poets Society.
Yes.
Nothing moves the world, in my opinion, but words and ideas. At
Yes.
the end of the day, that's what's framing everything. And there was a really, like, eggs became a really big message, the cost of eggs during the election,
Yes.
because they had skyrocketed. There was a shortage because of bird flu. And there were a few feisty people out there who were like, I'm going to track the cost of eggs. And they were not coming down at the beginning. I do see eggs being available now. They're still more expensive, but also we're not tracking for bird flu. So I think that part of why, but like we lost that thread. And I think the thing is, we're so flooded with the news
Yeah.
that it's so hard to get a message to stick. Everything gets washed away by the next and the next and the next.
Yeah.
But
And
maybe the hot dog index will stick. You could
yeah,
print t-shirts, Lawrence.
that's what
Right.
I'm saying. If you do, I want to wear one like all the time. Every time I go live, I'll be like, "Hey, the world's on fire. Check out the hot dog index.
Right.
You can cook your hot dogs on
Right.
the
On
on
the
the world."
over the ashes of civilization.
Oh my God.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet because me and Nick say this too. But the one thing that we're always out here trying to win, most importantly, is hearts and minds, right? Because that's what's going to change more than anything else. We can berate other people, yell at other people all we want, but we can live in a corrupt political system with all these things. But the end of the day is like if we win the popular opinion is really what dictates what happens, right? So the amount of apathetic people is really the factor that is limiting people like you and me and people who vocal and want change um, from that change happening. Because as long as a large enough percent, right, there's that 3% rule. I think that's rosy. I think the idea is cool, but I think that maybe we're in a bit of a different time. And that's okay. Like historically, like, we're in the age of the internet. Like who freaking knows like what? Everything is changing, right? So like history has value, but we also have to understand that like we are also in our own timeline where George Orwell was supposed to be dystopia and now it's like reality. And we have the Ministry of War, the Department of War, um, and all this stuff. So it's, but it is about m- taking and using language, we can minimize that percentage of apathetic people to make them receptive to
Right.
action, because not everybody needs to be doing the on the ground work, the organization. It's more a matter of people being willing to back that, right? Like it's like 1% of the people can actually be doing the organization, but as long as everyone else is like, yeah, actually, like, we'll step up and back you if the government tries to pull some crap, like, we're not okay with that either. Like in Indonesia, they recently their president was like, we're gonna cut taxes to fund my meal plan. And then they cut funding for other things to fund his like meal plan. And then all of a sudden, the members of parliament get a $13,000 a month bonus on top of their regular fees.
Mm.
And the people of Indonesia are like, that's corruption. And they frickin' protested. And it was like a whole thing. And Jakarta was on fire because the police did all the, because we're looking at anyway, but they called it corruption right away. They're like, yup. Here it's like, oh, I'm like, I feel like that happens every freaking day. That's been happening forever in this country. Like everyone in Congress is a millionaire. They
Shane,
just do.
I feel like this is a good segue. Maybe you're going here, but you also wrote a recent article on labor, right? And
Yes.
kind of how it's time to withhold our labor. I'm putting the link into the chat. Um, and and talk to us about that, because we've been talking about a general strike here. Like, this is kind of a thing that I talk about a lot. But give us your perspective.
So I think essentially you're looking at any system, any organizational system of people anywhere. If you're going to have an output, you need an input. Well, something needs to make that input be an output. It's right. It's like gears. Let's look at our society like a machine, right? Because I think analogies are helpful. We're being treated like a machine right now, the people, because we control exactly how wealthy these people are, and that's kind of my point in labor. Was that we actually they have no wealth without our participation, right? So that lie that we go all the way back to towards the beginning is if you play along, then you can be a millionaire, billionaire in America.
Yeah,
So if we operate in labor in our underpaid position that enables these people to continually be wealthy, then we get to be rich. Well, the reality is that if we were going to see that money, we would have seen that money forever ago, because there's no new billionaires, and there's a whole lot of people, who have decided that they can't go out and drink with their friends because young people who can't go out to the bars anymore because it's too expensive and they have to pay rent. So, what is there's one thing we really control in America. Like I kind of say that, and I kind of think, I hate to say that, but it might really be the only thing we really control anymore is
I
that
think it is.
it's our labor. It's
Right.
us, physically ourselves. Because we don't have control over our money. A bank has it in the cloud, and they determine how many ones and zeros we get into our account. They could change that at will. The bank has the mortgage to your house, and all of your data isn't even yours anymore. They took that too. So what do you have? You have yourself. And the great thing about that is our power itself has been minimized. It's been framed away from us. It's like the system will continue without us. Like, corporations are so big, right? Like, oh, the world is run by corporations. Who runs the corporations? Who makes it so a corporation can exist? If you go into a Target and everyone decided to not stock the shelves at Target, if all the Target workers were like, what would happen? People
Right.
would shop the aisle and it would be empty. And then what? The manager isn't going to be able to stock every single shelf by themselves. And then, give it a couple weeks. And what do the people at Target want? I don't know. To be treated like human beings, to be properly compensated, to not like have their wages squeezed out to the bottom amount so that the top line can be even bigger to create that shareholder value. Um, you could demand that.
Right.
But more importantly, a general strike, these people are enriching themselves off of a system that they've created that we are fundamentally the most important part of. If if we genuinely wanted to stop this, and I remember going back to like a long time ago, like, when I say a long time ago, it feels like months is like years in this world. But right after it was like, you want to say like late March. I'm sitting there like things are getting really bad. Like the only way I can feasibly think that we stop things is if we shut the country down. If
Yeah.
people just stop, because then because then the whole GDP crashes and everything goes to shit, and they basically they can't have money if the American economy collapses.
Right.
Um, so we got to strike, and I was writing about striking every day. I'm on my notes, this and that, and but at the end of the day, um, we're up against a very strong and pervasive enemy, and that is the pre-existing hustle culture dialogue that exists in this country.
Right.
And also, go ahead, please.
No, I think that's really true, right? Is because I think it's one of those situations where people, kind of hear the idea and they're like, oh, yeah, but I can't go on strike. Like I got to send my kid to college or,
Yes,
I've got to, pay rent or my, 3 kids are going to be homeless. So I think you're right. Nick was saying collective courage in the chat.
yes,
I think the thing that I struggle with is the general strike is such a good idea. And it is the only thing I think that is going to change the narrative and really take our power back. And how do we convince people to do it? Like, because I think everyone is afraid of being that person who, we all say, oh, yeah, we're going to do it. And then you like go to rush the line. And it's like one guy who's rushing up to the line, looking back like, what the fuck? Why are all the rest of you, hanging back?
yeah. And then being that one guy who rushes the line, and you're like, oh shit, I'm by myself.
Right.
Like,
You're the
oh,
guy
I
that
don't
gets
know if
beat up and
I.
hauled off to jail. Right.
And that's the thing, right? That's always, and that's like where do we find that the solution to that is I think it has to be a collective change in the view of the thing. So of how we view things at work. I've I and like that window. It's like you say certain things that make people uncomfortable. Since you're a kid, you're not. If something makes other people uncomfortable, you're not supposed to say it. So my coworkers will be like, "Hey man, how's it?" I'm like, "Hey Shane, how's it going?" I'm like, "It's good." And I'm like, "How's your slave labor going today?" They're like, "What?" Like, "Yeah, you're slaving away. What do they pay you?" And he's like, "Oh, pay me minimum wage." I'm like, "Can you afford to live on that?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Keep slaving." They're like, "Oh, it makes you uncomfortable."
Right.
Sure, but it's true. Like, because objectively, if I'm gonna look, if you're in a situation where you're being compensated but not enough to live, so you have no choice but to show up and do it every day, because if you don't, you won't have enough and you'll be homeless. And we know how we treat homeless people in this country. So it's better to just lock yourself in a system that ultimately doesn't pay you enough. Yeah, it might make you uncomfortable that I call it that, but am I objectively wrong?
Right. Right. Well, and you'll end up homeless in a system where, RFK Jr. wants to round up the homeless and ship them off to an organic farm where they'll be put to work or something, right? Like,
Or, yeah. Or you go to prison, which is
They've
genuinely being used as
disappeared.
slave labor. Like it's like,
right, like
like,
literal slave labor, exactly.
yeah, like, so it's about like calling out certain things as uncomfortable truth. And that's a really good way to slowly shift dialogue, is because a great example of this that is like we talk about legacy media. Um, how Hitler did this. It's you take a population of people you want to label as undesirable, and then you start calling them criminals. Right? It's a very common propaganda technique. So, we killed 11 people with our tax dollars on a boat in international waters.
Right.
Um, they were criminals with drugs on their boat. So it's cool. So I heard that. I was like, dude, what the hell? Like, since when have we ever just blown up a boat for having drugs on it? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I looked up, Venezuelan boat, and every single legacy media headline before any form of conservation like confirmation was out, said drug boat, drug boat, drug boat, drug boat, drug boat.
Right.
There was 11 people on that boat. They don't usually, you're not going to put, if you're trafficking drugs, all I'm saying is objectively, why would I put 11 of my traffickers on a boat to move the drugs? I'd rather have, 2 guys on the boat. So,
Right.
I don't lose 11 guys if the boat gets blown up. And that's one of the guys I was watching. He was making a point. He's Ukrainian, but I like his perspective because he's so objectively un-American that it's like very valuable to have someone, who's on the other side of the world looking at things that are going on and being like, yeah. He's like, I don't think that was a drug boat. I think they just blew up a boat with people on it. And then they called it a drug boat.
Well,
And I'm like,
which makes sense if you think that that Trump is trying to engineer war with Venezuela, right? Like,
yeah,
then it makes a lot of sense.
absolutely. And they're using language, right? They've created a synonymous situation where Venezuelans are MS-13 members and criminals. If you're Venezuelan, you're an MS-13 and you're a gangbanger and you're dangerous. Um, and so you just create this kind of, homogeny between two completely separate terms. And that's how they do this. So we can do that same thing with minimum wage and slave labor,
Yeah.
right? Two can play. Two can play. Like once you identify what the game is, then you can play it too. And they're playing propaganda. So we, the people, we gotta have better propaganda.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just that simple because we are trying to reach people, the same people. You, me, Dana, we're all trying to reach people. And those are the people that are apathetic, locked in the work cycle. They work 2 jobs. They just are trying to stay alive and they can't afford to look at the news. And I think about this too. It's like for every, you know, 10 people who are politically engaged, there's probably the same amount of people who have 2 kids and 2 jobs and get 5 hours of sleep that have no opportunity to, like even look and see what the hell's going on. They just look up and they're like, well, I guess it got more expensive. I guess got to put in more hours because, I got kids. I want to go to school. We got to pay rent. We got to do this. And the big thing is, I think that I always thought I saw, I don't know. I think you reach a point though where those people too, they get pushed out of their cycle of comfort because they are just so greedy. They're so greedy that they're going to push those people who are burning the candle at both ends with another candle to boot, being held, with their toe as they're trying to do all this stuff. And eventually that's all going to burn down. What's most important is when those people look up, we need to be there with the right message.
Yeah.
That's kind of always been. Go ahead.
We're I'm just gonna note that we're coming up on the top of
Yeah.
the hour, and I feel like that positive note is a good
Yes.
place maybe for us to
Yeah.
start wrapping up.
Yeah.
Shane, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah.
This was a really fascinating conversation.
Thank you.
We do ask a question of everybody who comes on the show. I know this is not your generation, but in your opinion,
Yeah.
what is the ultimate Gen X song?
Oh, jeez.
And it doesn't have
Shift
to be Gen
gears,
X. It
Shane.
could be like the ultimate song from your generation if you want.
Ultimate
Yeah.
song from my generation.
Yeah, Gen Z song. Let's hear it.
Let me see.
See, this is fascinating because my kids are also Gen Z, just at the other end of it. They're younger, a lot younger than you. So what song captures all of you?
You know what song I really like?
What's that?
Viva La Vida by Coldplay. I
Okay.
think that is a very apt song for the moment as well. And to end with a very powerful analogy, one that I used in labor is the wealthy have built their castles on pillars of salt and pillars of sand that we have built for them, and we can just as easily tear them down.
That is a good note to go out on. Amazing. Shane, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
Awesome
Shane.
conversation.
Thank
We
you.
will, of course, if folks don't know, Shane is also a part of Banner and Backbone, the publication that myself and Nick Perro and Frederick Pogue started. Shane, you're posting a lot of good stuff there and on Firebrand Project. Please go sign up and subscribe to Shane's Firebrand Project. Thanks for being here again, Shane. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you both for having me. I look forward to
Thank
talking to you guys
you.
again in the future.
We
Take
love
care.
you,
Absolutely.
mean
We
it.
love it.
Tomorrow we're on with Foos and Iden. Don't miss it.
Bye,
Nice.
everybody. Love you, Mina. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.